Hi, welcome. Fuck, I can't do this.
Being a
Uh,
bitch, just say what we're
Alright,
doing. Don't know intros. Just say, okay, we're talking
Alright.
about Darktide.
Yeah, alright, listen here,
take
mother.
two.
Take two. Alright.
Now we keep this shit in. Fuck you.
We're talking about Darktide today. I mean the three of us, we were there when we played over the weekend. An exorbitant amount of Darktide. Yeah?
Mostly you two.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
but you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, exactly. We killed all of the heretics. But anyway, well, more like Matt and I, we were lucky enough to play the alpha and the beta.
Oh, wait.
Well, I mean, we played the beta with you, but we played the alpha back in August. And, it was a very different game back then.
More crashes, for sure.
Oh, well, I had less crashes that time, actually, but the performance was much worse.
Back in the alpha, there was one map where
There you
if
go.
somebody DC'd or quit out,
That's
the
right.
whole party got disconnected.
That's right. You just quit out, it died, dead. That happened, what, about twice?
Yeah, but this game had another game-breaking thing like that, or this beta that is. There was one map where if you try to go into an airlock and you push the button just a little too fast after your fourth person gets in the airlock, it's just broken. You're just stuck there.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So tonight we're discussing about the bugs. We're talking about the differences from alpha to beta, and what we hope to see when the game comes out, which they just updated us on today. Where if you pre-ordered, and I'm not saying you should pre-order, I'm just saying if you have, maybe like me, then you get to play on the 17th. But
This is by no means a promotional podcast.
yeah, listen, what I've learned from Cyberpunk and Battlefield, don't pre-order games unless you slap Warhammer on it for me, then I'll buy it.
So we're not paid. We're just
not paid.
fellow gamers. Here.
Figured out, Matt. That's it.
But yeah,
He
So-
really likes zealots.
so Darktide, it was super fun. I had a great time playing it, even though everyone was a guardsman. Everyone.
Well, not the whole time.
Not the whole time. Sometimes we were like a zealot and whatnot, but most of the time most of the time people were guardsmen.
I will say though, the only times I was not a guardsman, I got shoved through a wall. Or no, I was a guardsman when I got shoved through a wall, wasn't I?
Tends to happen to guardsmen actually, getting shoved through
Yeah.
walls into the warp.
So the bugs are oftentimes fun. They have an excellent reconnecting feature in there, so even when you get disconnected and everything, you just load
that's
the game back up.
that
and
is
get back
super
into the
nice to
game.
have. I mean, especially for a game like this when it's all co-op and you got loot involved and whatnot. Yeah, being able to just jump back in after a crash is super helpful, and make sure that you stay involved. But yeah, but I really want to start us off with with what exactly Darktide is, and I think the best way to put it is that
Never
Darktide.
played Left 4 Dead.
Yeah,
Basically that.
I mean it's Warhammer Left 4 Dead. I mean, how else you want to put it? But like, come on, let's be honest. This is the Left 4 Dead game we've been wanting.
But if you play Vermintide, it's a lot like that, just with more ranged weapons,
Yeah.
aka guns.
Yeah, but like, not a lot of people like the fantasy setting. A lot of people like Left 4 Dead and guns and whatnot. I mean, look at Will here.
Hit him.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be in chat and he'll just ping his M1 Garand or some shit. Speaking of firearms, Matt, what guns did we have in the alpha?
Well, everybody starts out with the same guns, depending on which character you play as, and the same melee weapons. But I will say, in the alpha, the shotgun was probably the OP weapon, and you could have it on a variety of characters. I found out. I was surprised.
Wait a
when I
minute.
was
Wait a
playing
minute.
the
Wait a minute.
guardsman.
Wait a minute. No one
Yeah,
had a.
yeah.
The only one that had a shotgun in the alpha was the ogre.
No, you had a shotgun as the guardsman.
No.
You even got
no,
it first.
you
and
had
were
a
like,
last
the shotgun's
No.
amazing.
In the beta, we had the shotguns.
Oh, were you saying alpha?
I was saying
I was just
alpha.
saying the game as a whole. The game as a whole, All right, sorry, the alpha. Let's backtrack here. The alpha. You were limited in the alpha. I'll say this. Extremely limited. Whatever you started with, that's what you had, and it wasn't the starting tier weapons as we found out. It was further down game weapons. You know, like most games do if they release a
It was
tech
more
test and you only have
Yeah.
one set of weapons.
It was more high tier weaponry. The guardsmen still had their las gun, but they had a chainsword as well. As we're in the beta, you start off with a las gun and a shovel. To my surprise. So I had to get my own trench shovel out and start whacking my roommate with it.
But in the
figuratively.
beta, we got to see a more variety of weapons.
It's not figurative.
Yeah, the absolute seeing all of the different types of weapons was very welcoming, especially like the shotgun. Oh my god, that thing hit hard.
So I don't know what their thought process here. Let's talk about the shotgun for a second. It's special thing. So all the guns have different special things. Like it could be as dumb as useful as a flashlight to charging up a sword or something with a
Stabbing
immense
the
hit.
fucking eyes of your enemy with a shovel.
The shotgun speciality is you load a different shell that somehow changes the spray pattern. Like, you don't change the barrel, you just change the shell, and all of a sudden you have a different spray pattern.
It is helpful when the hordes come by, though.
Yes.
That's what I'd say it's mostly useful for, is that. Also,
And also, I noticed if you load the special shell, right? If you're fully loaded shotgun, if you load a special shell, you take one shell out and put the special one in. But if you have just one less than fully loaded, you just load up the special shell and you just get one extra shell. So now you're fully loaded. Interesting feature that. So you're not always taking out a shell to load in the special shell, and eventually you have to reload the shotgun.
yeah,
Like,
I
I thought it was
know
gonna do that.
some people there's a las gun you can get in the game. Its firepower is relatively weak. It doesn't really do a lot of damage, but its fire rate. Its fire rate. I almost said rire rate. My god. Yeah, its fire rate is really quick. And to compensate for this, they gave you a crap ton of ammo.
I know
and-
exactly which one you're using. I used it a lot.
Yeah, the thing had like ammo in the thousands, but good luck
Yeah,
shooting anything
had over
armored.
1,000 rounds in reserve.
Yeah, good luck anything in the anything that's armored. Relatively, you're not gonna get through that through those armored enemies. Speaking of enemies, few of them really fuck us up.
I really dislike the chargers, as most people will realize.
Okay, but that's because it shoved you into the warp.
It shoved me into the warp. In fact, I was no longer able to interact with the game. I saw underneath the world moving parts and everything. I don't know why they were moving parts under the world, because they weren't visible from the top of the world. But after a short while, oh, actually, the charger that took me through the wall came with me and tried to fight me on the ledges on the outside. Like, there were just these tiny little platforms I was standing on in the warp. And once I killed him, I looked around for about, 30 seconds, and then I disconnected from the game.
Hey, that saved you though. And
It
then I
did,
think
like I said
we
before,
died.
the reconnect feature.
Yeah, Reconnect's feature saved us. But yeah, I mean the mutant chargers are definitely scary. In the video that I posted up on my channel, there's a moment where a friend, a squad mate, picks me up, and as soon as I get picked up, charger comes by and grabs me and starts just throwing me onto the ground, and I almost die from it. So they are a menace, but I guess my hardest enemy that I've had to deal with have been the Maulers, the heavily armored heretics with chain axes.
And that's where a zealot comes into play with their quote-unquote grenade ability, because they don't throw anything, they just charge up their hands and they blow up heads.
You mean the Psyker, right?
Psychers, that was what it was, not
That
the
is
zealots.
so-
My bad.
So it's okay. So Matt here is not our buddy Keen Hickory Matt. He's not all in familiar with Warhammer lore. Essentially, Psykers are wizards, and our boy Matt here was a wizard for about I guess 1/3 of the time we played. And
I like a variety, Matt. I don't like to just play the same character the whole time.
Fair, fair, fair. Will and I here, we played as
Fuck you, I'm a
guardsmen.
guardsman.
Yeah, we last guns and trench shovels, baby.
I have a shotgun. What's your point?
Yeah,
That is my entire philosophy. I have a shotgun. Fuck you.
Yeah, mine.
As a psyker, though, I was able to get a shotgun.
That is true. So, apparently with the weapons, it doesn't really matter what class you play as. It seems that you can really hold all weapons, but I think that's going to be more disputed when you get to like the higher level weapon stuff, like plasma guns and flamers and all that. I mean, of course, like guardsmen and zealots and psychers can't use Ogryn weapons because Ogrins are Ogrins and they're beefy boys and they're.
Could you imagine just trying to see somebody run with that?
Oh my
But
God.
that isn't an ogre.
You can't. You can't. It's too big. It's too big. Yeah. So we get a variety of enemy types, and I think we saw more. Like I don't remember the mutant chargers from the alpha. I could be wrong though, but definitely the one thing that we didn't see in the alpha was the new level that they added into the beta. Back in the alpha, there was only 3 missions. There was the Manufactorum mission where you had to go into the furnace like smelter area. There was the Cryo mission where you had to cool down, I think, like the factory generators. And then there was the Ammo Depot raid that you could partake in. But in the beta, they added an assassination mission where you would go and fight a boss and kill him. And that was the objective. That one was a lot of fun. But
And the boss changes.
yeah, the boss
every
changes.
time. Not during the gameplay, but every mission he changes. He's got different weapons and he's got different names.
And different looks even. Sometimes he'll have like a Roman plume headdress, and sometimes it'll just be spikes.
I watched like what is it fucking fuck what's his name Rubik's Raptor.
Yeah, Rubik's
That
Raptor.
guy, the guy you showed me.
Yeah.
Did you see his Darktide video today?
Oh, why? Of course.
Like I just love where like the fucking psycher he's yelling at the
He's
subtitles
yelling at
because
the
they got him wrong.
subtitles. It's hilarious. Like I love these characters. You get to
They're
create.
breaking the fourth wall, but it's so funny.
It's such a psycher thing, though. It really is. It's just breaking through the warp, through the fourth wall. But I love what Fat Shark has done with the characters, because Matt and we've played a lot of Vermintide, and we've heard Saltspire and Carillion say the same things to each other over and over and over again. And the fact that we now have a lot more voices, we have several different classes, it's so nice to hear, as they all work greatly with each other. We have a nice diversity of voices and voice lines and all of that. It's so much more entertaining to see. And just being able to customize your own character just makes this game incredibly more fun. I remember when they started showing off the trailers, our group, we started having arguments on who gets to play the guardsman, because we thought it was still going to have like Vermintide rules on
Or you can only play like, one class, like one person can only play one class and then the other person has to play another one.
Yeah. It's like, who plays the guardsman, who plays the Ogryn? Pierce, our boy Pierce, who's not here right now, he hates Ogryns. He does not like them at all.
Because they aren't orcs.
They're not orcs. He's an orc player, and he loves orcs, and he hates that Ogryns are, like, bigger and stronger than orcs. But I say he's missing out. Playing as an Ogryn is super fun. Which I did.
Smash through everything.
Yeah, I played the Ogryn a little bit back on the alpha, and honestly, you should bring an Ogryn to every fire team you're in. They are super helpful. There is no downside other than the giant hitbox. One thing I also enjoyed was that the perks, the feats. We did not have those in the alpha. You could not choose what your perks were. You were just given your loadout and you could just go in. That's it. That's all you could do. So being able to see what the perks are in Darktide has been super helpful. And by far my favorite is a build that I call the Grenadier for the Guardsman, where you could just replenish your grenades passively every 45 seconds, and they do more damage. Or, well, they don't necessarily do more damage, but they cause bleeding once you get towards the end of the perk tree. Or not really perk tree, but the perk selections. Definitely in the future when the game actually releases and when this channel starts uploading and playing a lot more Darktide and whatnot, I will be making builds that people can watch and partake
Like
in.
I said, Matt's gonna become the Destiny equivalent of a Darktide.
Oh
Darktide
my
YouTuber.
god, no I am not.
Mark my words, damn it.
No! No. Well, I mean, the point of the builds is, like, I mean, people will always do the builds of, like, oh, you gotta have this percentage, you know, this little item or this weapon is gonna give you this increase on that, and I'm not going for that. Though, Darktide's feats and perks and whatnot, they seem more simplistic, and their description of them is much more straightforward than Vermintide's. As we're in Vermintide, it's always been like, okay, well, you know, you're going to want to choose these perks, and then you're going to want, like, trinkets and whatnot, and necklaces that help you out with these certain percentages. Instead, as far as we know, we haven't seen, in the alpha and the beta, you could not put on necklaces and trinkets and all that. The only thing you can edit your loadout was your melee weapon and your ranged weapon and your firearm. That was it.
You
So
also had cosmetics that you could change.
yeah, there were still cosmetics. However, it was only from leveling up. Only from leveling up you could get those cosmetics. I believe at level 5 you'll get your first cosmetic, followed by one at level 10, and then you're not getting a level up cosmetic until like 25. Level 25 is when you're gonna get like the end game cosmetic that you can get sheerly from leveling up. I know the devs have talked about you being able to get cosmetics from their in-game store, which you can use real money to purchase cosmetics, as well as completing achievements and challenges and whatnot. So that'll be nice, but hopefully the paid cosmetics won't be too egregious. Hopefully it'll be fair. In Vermintide, it's quite fair.
I'm so sad.
Now, on another note,
Yeah.
playing with friends and AI like the Vermintide worked.
Yeah. Have some friends, you loner.
So, if as of now, and what we've seen, it is you're restricted to play with a team of 4 with full people. And by that I mean, if you don't have all 3 other friends to play with you, then you will be matchmaked with 3 other randos.
Yeah. And nicely enough, though, randos aren't that bad. They're
I played a few matches just randomly joining in. A lot of times it's just helpful.
yeah. I'd say the most egregious thing about random players is they'll just
They don't go for secondary objectives.
yeah, they don't go for secondary objectives. They will just go, the path leads this way. Let's go.
Dude, I had a game where, like, what is it? We had to find like 6 of those relics. We found all 6.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll meet those people where it's like, okay, wait, we got a secondary objective. Come on, let's do it. And let's talk about the secondary objectives now. I actually like that. I like what they've done with the secondary objectives. I mean, I did like how in Vermintide you can find tomes, you can find grimoires all at the same time, and you can get a big reward from it. But I do like that the secondary objectives are kind of more simple, and they did make things like grimoires and tomes easier to find. But the problem
Not really.
is
There's just no parkour.
there's no
like,
parkour.
There's not as much
well,
parkour,
they're placed
but
in
there's
more
still
open spots.
So there was some where I found that they were off the path, like in areas that looked like they
Right.
weren't able to go into, but you actually were. You just had to find a ladder.
Yeah.
These ones, it's like there aren't that many ladders, and if there are, they're fucking obvious. And they're
Well,
like
no,
bright
this one was
fucking
behind
yellow.
a building, so you had to go and find it.
Oh, cringe. Exploding, creep.
Yeah,
But
no, I've noticed
Unlike Vermintide, however, they
Yeah.
they do not spawn in the same location every time on that map.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get into. They do not spawn in the same location. And
They
so
don't?
sometimes they spawn on top of crates. And that's... I found this out. Sometimes they will spawn on ammo crates. Like, not... Like the big giant ammo crates where, like, maybe you have to jump up to see where they're at. Sometimes they spawn up there. And I'm like, well, no wonder why we're missing some of them at some of the times, because they're hidden like this. But probably the one thing that I don't like about it is that if you do not complete the secondary objective, like let's say you have 2 out of 3 tomes, you do not complete the secondary objective, therefore you get nothing. So
Yeah, that's
Even if you got like 2 out of the 3 grimoires, fucking you don't get nothing.
Yeah, in Vermintide, if you got 2 out of the 3 tomes in Vermintide, you still get some form of a reward for it. Because you still get progress towards that loot. But in Darktide, nope, you just do not get that reward. So if you're going to get the secondary objective, you really need to work with your team to ensure that you get your secondary objective. It's very important that you get that.
There is in-game chat, but as far as the beta goes, you have to constantly have your mic on. There's no push to talk button.
Yeah, they really need a push to talk button. I mean, because I live stream, and
It's a modern video game. How are you missing a push to talk feature?
that
And
too.
they also have typing to your team as well.
Yeah, I mean, typing is a no-brainer. I miss
I think
Erg.
they have a spotting system too.
Erg was the best Ogren that we had that would type in chat like an actual Ogren.
Bro, you're not dissing on my man Mike.
My man Mike. I gotta hand it. Ogren players are the Chads of this
the
game.
funniest fuckers, but they are also like they are the most reliable.
They are the most reliable people.
You'll be like halfway
and they're
dead across the map, then
hilarious.
you'll just see through the wall this guy just barreling through people, taking things out, taking down walls just to get to you.
And he'll just be slapping heretics in the face. Literally, their secondary attack with the club is slapping. They slap people. And I love it. So, like, they're just playing around with their enemies. And just, Ogrens are the best. Oh, you Ogren players, if you're listening to this, you guys are the best thing in Darktide. You are the reason why us guardsmen stay alive. Let's be real here. Especially the Psychers. Psychers are squishy.
They do have a shield feature.
The shield feature is nice, but that's to help make sure that you just don't get shot dead by the heretics with guns. Heretics
Yes.
with guns. Which
So the shield feature, though, as we were talking about the perk tree, there is a perk to make it if you're away from your allies, because if you're near your allies, your shield will recharge, as well
Much
as melee
faster.
hits. But there's a
Yeah.
perk that while you're away from allies, every 4 seconds, I believe it was, you'll gain some shield back.
although which class is that for?
I had it as the guardsman, I think.
Oh yeah, huh? Yeah, because yeah, the shield has been very helpful. However, it can stun lock you, and it doesn't protect you from melee. If you have your shield up, the shield is purely to help defend you from ranged attacks. If you're in melee and if people are hitting you, a little bit of damage is still done to you. So you need to make sure that you're blocking, shoving, and dodging. It's very important that you do that. And even when you're getting shot at, you need to be dodging. You can't just walk away from it. You have to dodge. So when you're on those higher difficulties, you need to be maneuvering. You need to be sticking with your team, and you have to be using every form of action you can. When you're shoving, make sure you're doing your little counter attack to stab your enemy's back. Make sure that you're throwing your grenades. Make sure that you're taking whatever range shots you can get while also quickly switching out to your melee. You're doing so much hybrid combat, and you really get focused into it.
Since you mentioned Stunlock, let's go ahead and talk about some of the enemies, because Stunlock reminded me of the machine gun enemy who would just freeze you
Oh
there
my
while
God,
you're
The
getting shot.
machine
Fuck him.
gunners. Oh, the machine gunners have absolutely melted me. They are terrifying. So they're on as a guardsman. They're my #1 target now, as they can, if they lock onto you. I'm surprised that there is a whole suppression mechanic in this game. If you're taking fire, your weapon sway is much greater than what it will be if you're not taking fire. And then on top of that, you'll get like a little haze effect as well. And it reminds me of playing like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, where suppression was a big thing in those games. And it's just like, okay, yeah, you need to duck for cover, and you have to move from cover to cover, especially on those higher difficulties.
Bro, as soon as you said suppression, I started thinking about the Battlefield 3 mission where you're trying to outflank the sniper, and then you said cover to cover, and I'm like, God damn it, that just made it even more. All right, cover to cover. We'll draw them out.
Yeah, no, but for real, like, you need to do that. You need to move from cover to cover, and you need to get to the flanks of these machine gunners and take them out. Or you need to be quick on the draw and shoot them in the head first.
Or if you have a shotgun, you just fucking let it rip.
Speaking of shotguns and even revolvers, because there are revolvers in this game, and I've actually heard that the revolver reloading animation is super smooth and really good. So, for all of you revolver and shotgun fans out there, they feel really good, especially the shotgun. I really enjoy the shotgun. But we will also have a build for shotgun and revolver users, as for guardsmen, they're and currently that's what I'm talking about is for guardsmen. Guardsmen have perks to where they can really get up more up close and personal, as well as they can reload weapons much faster as long as you have ammo in it, which is perfect for shotguns and revolvers. That's another thing we need to talk about. Curse.
Yeah.
Curses. There's more curses in Darktide than there was in Vermintide. As with Vermintide, the only thing that gave you curse was the grimoires. And so now that there's like even the dog, the chaos hound, even they give you warp taint, because they don't kill you by damaging you. They slowly drain your health, and they add on the warp taint. And so you need to make sure that you keep the dogs off you. Every time you hear that strange, creepy beeping of the pox exploders, you need to shoot them. Yeah, the pox bursters. You need to shoot them so that you don't lose a ton of health, as well as gain a ton of warp taint. And also, I think the tox flamers too. They melt your health. And
Yes, but they do not have the same pushback that they had in Vermintide, for sure.
That is true.
But the other enemy we haven't talked about yet is the net
Ah,
Never.
yeah, the trapper. Yeah,
trapper.
yeah, but you know that's the new hook rat.
He is definitely a hook rat, yes, but he could do it from afar, and instead of
It
dragging
doesn't
you away,
drag
he
you
just
toward them.
pulls
It just
you
drops
in
you
a
down
little
to where
bit.
you are.
Yeah.
Well, no, he pulls
He
you.
pulls
so
you.
like he wraps you in the net, and then he's got like magnets on the net that pull you towards him, and then he lets his allies go to town on you while you're just laying there defenseless and getting shocked by
Yeah.
the net.
So it definitely does feel nicer, as we're like, sometimes in Vermintide the hook rat will grab you, and then the horde will come by, and the horde will block you from getting to your friend. So that person may very well just die from getting hanged by the hook, as where in Darktide you'll get trapped in a net, you can't really escape it, and yeah, the horde will be beating on you, but your team is most likely close by. Enemy grenadiers, those grenades and the whistle is kind of terrifying. Hearing that whistling grenade fly by you, and then just a massive area is covered in flame, because that flame also drains you. That thing burns your health away very fast.
Yes, and one more thing that we should mention is anytime you get downed and picked back up, you will get picked up with a bar of curse. So if you go down
Yeah.
twice, you'll have almost 2 full bars of curse, and you have, on most characters, you have 3 bars of health.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was yeah. There's definitely a lot more curse, but thankfully you have the Medicaid station, which
But it doesn't take away curse though.
no, it takes away curse.
Are you
Yeah, it
talking about
does.
the one you throw down, or the one that's
No,
that's
the
Well,
fun?
the
station, the
Medicaid
actual station.
station is
The station.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the medic crate. That,
Yeah.
that
No,
does it.
yeah.
Yeah, the medic crate and the ammo crates are very helpful equipment pieces. Almost like in Battlefield, you can just, if you find a medic crate or an ammo crate, you can just throw it down like Battlefield and people can come by and pick up ammo or collect meds, which is super helpful. But yeah, the Medicaid station, that will heal your warp taint and bring your health up to full. But some of them won't have any charges, and you have to find a battery to plug them in. And I actually like that. And thankfully, I think we had a hard time figuring this out once, but usually the batteries are never far away from the station that you need to put it in.
But they are hidden. Sometimes they're up on pipes, or they're behind
Sometimes you have to
fences.
jump for them.
There was one time where it spawned encased in a fence, and we thought we weren't going to be able to get it, but you had to crouch just right to grab it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes, the Fat Shark got really creative where to put certain things. Even sometimes ammo. Ammo would just be in the most obscure places.
And if you are an ammo hog, like you take 2 or 3 in a row without anybody else grabbing ammo, other characters will say, "Stop taking all the ammo." Not the players, the characters.
Yeah, the
They're
characters.
coded that way.
From alpha to beta, the lobby area, a lot has changed. The alpha literally only had the map room. That was it. You can only select a mission. There were no vendors. There was no training area with the psyker, like the Psychana area. There was no ammo vendor. There was no guy who could give you challenges and contracts you could partake on to gain extra rewards. It was just a map room. That was
But
it.
I will say in the alpha, when you joined your friend, you joined their lobby room.
That is true. And apparently in the beta, this was another bug of theirs.
Was it a bug or was it a feature?
it was a
to
bug.
not
It
stop
was a bug.
Down on servers.
It was a bug. You are supposed to see your friends. You are supposed to join with your friends and see them. But during the beta, we could not see each other. We were in our own separate lobbies, and yeah, we could still play games with each other, but we could not see each other in the lobby. And sometimes it was kind of weird, as like, yo, we really wanted to ready up, and we had to really verbally tell each other, which, I mean, as you should anyway, that we were ready. But, you know, sometimes we'd get like new armor or and whatnot, and we want to show it off. Or, you know, we see Mike, the Ogren, and we want to like talk to him or something.
I didn't see any issue with not joining your friends to see them in the lobby, as it most likely helps servers, as it wouldn't transfer you from server room to server room.
Right.
And by that I mean like from servers to servers to get you on the right server that your friend is on.
Right.
And it would just do that during the loading phase of the level.
Ow, fuck.
Right. But like, even though, like, imagine playing Destiny, and oh my god, I'm bringing up Destiny. But
But
imagine
Destiny's
playing.
okay. Before you even go, Destiny's completely different.
Wait,
Hold
oh,
on.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Hold
whoa,
on.
whoa. Like, yeah, we know it's completely different, but it still has a world hub that you can go to, and you can see your friends, and you can like emote with each other and whatnot. And that's kind of the point. It's
Where
a
do you think they
social
probably got
space.
the idea?
And that's actually, that's honestly, that's probably fair. I mean, yeah, it probably does help the servers a lot with the fact that, like, okay, we're not there with each other. But when the game releases, I really hope this problem is fixed, because I really want to just emote with you guys and the rest of the fellas, because that's just funny. And you can tell that that's what Fat Shark also wants, because this game, it's not competitive. They're not trying to be like Back for Blood, where the challenge and the difficulty is absurd, where you have to be a little try hard to get through that game. Instead, it's just having fun. oh, you're fighting a horde? Well, if you notice, while you're fighting a horde, the heretics with guns in the back aren't shooting at you. They're shooting at someone else. Or they'll join in the melee. It's because they know that you can't multitask, you can't shoot and fight in melee at the same time. So if you're fighting in melee against a horde, the AI will either join in the fighting or they'll switch to another target. And so to me, this just says that they want they want the players to have fun, and it just reminds me back when games were supposed to be sitting on the couch, hanging out with the boys, and having like fun party games. That's what I'm getting out of this, and I love it, and I miss it so much, and I'm glad Darktide is doing this. I mean, Vermintide had their variety of world bosses that just came by, and I'm hoping that we'll see more of that in Darktide, because the only one that we've been able to see in Darktide is the Plague Ogre, which is super big, and his only weak spot is his head, which is hard to hit because he's flailing all over the place. So every time we come across one, I have to yell out, it's like, Guardsmen, volley fire, aim for the head. Volley fire, first strike fire, secondary fire, fall back for the Emperor.
Guardsmen, where you go? Come
Like, we're out here freaking out from this thing, and I love it. So I just hope that Darktide will provide more variety when the game releases in terms of bosses. Maybe we will come across like those heretic captains in the middle of a mission that we have to fight. Maybe we'll come across like some other like stronger mutant type creature we have to fight. Another thing is maps, the scenery of the game looks really cool, and I have noticed a difference from the alpha to the beta. The game looks much better in the beta. The alpha didn't really have as much effects as from what I noticed when Matt and I played, and overall the world kind of seemed less
much
alive.
more like densely packed with things. Like at least it does now.
Yeah, right now it feels much more alive.
Dude, looking at it, I'm like, damn, this shit feels cool.
Yeah, it is. Like holy
It's like,
crap.
what is it, when like, I noticed that whenever you're kind of like walking around, sometimes there would just be like guardsmen, like they'd be like standing around, but like whenever you start the mission or something like that, but they're just kind of like, they're literally just standing there, like they aren't like swaying or like, you know, looking around. They're just like there, just static models, not moving.
Yeah. Sometimes it looks weird, but yeah. Hopefully they'll.
Guys, I think he's slipping back into rehab. We gotta stop him.
Yeah, hopefully they'll keep providing that personality with the maps and all that. But even with these like Hive City maps, they're all like different. As like you'll be in like a Lehman Russ factory, and you'll see Lehman Russ tanks on like the scenery, which look really cool, by the way, all in the Demolisher pattern as well, which fires three D3 shots on the tabletop, and I think has a strength of 10, and I'll silence myself for talking about tabletop. Definitely, I really hope we do see some more scenes and setting and set pieces in Darktide, because like I want to see the more like the higher up Hive City part. But I think there was like concept art of like a desert that we might be able to go to, and if we can really see. If we can really see how the different parts of a setting of a Hive City can be, I'm all for it. And I guess my own little request is I really want us to see like a battlefield, like trenches, sandbags, bunkers, and shit. I really hope we can find something like that. I really want to see a battlefield. Seeing a battle like a 40k, like a proper 40k battlefield in first person as a guardsman, I will be very happy. I really want to see that.
I got to have the moments where I am wondering whether I'll actually even make it off the planet, let alone lunchtime.
You know, the average lifespan of a guardsman is 24 hours? Not even. Oh,
Hey, man. Don't you hear that part?
he's done it. He's done it. Oh, God.
Yeah, there we go. I haven't done that in a while.
This is what you become when you play as a guardsman.
Yes.
Hold on, guys. I have to take apart and put together my las gun for the 10th time this day. Overall, what we have noticed from alpha to beta is great improvement. The game is improving. The alpha had horrible performance. Horrible. Like, you were lucky if you were getting 40 FPS. 40 FPS. The beta is definitely more optimized. We were getting around 50 to 60 FPS, right, fellas?
I had a lot of my stuff on high, and some of it on like the, well, pretty much the high is like the highest. I think except for fog, there's extreme. But I think for the most of the time, I had everything on high, and I was getting around 90 FPS. Like whenever there wasn't like whenever I didn't go into like a sprawling wide area.
Yeah, I kept my my graphic settings to medium. The game recommended that to me. I do not have the strongest rig out there, and I turned DLSS to performance, and that helped a lot. So overall, fellas, and for those in the audience, I would recommend that when you play Darktide, and let me say this, Darktide is a beautiful game, even on like medium graphic settings. Even on low graphic settings, the game is still beautiful.
It's like a dice game, like it's still gonna look good.
Yeah, it's still gonna look really good. I don't really say you need to throw it on high, but probably it looks gorgeous on high graphics settings.
If you can run it, do it.
Yeah, but I'd say your first priority is to make sure that the game runs smoothly, and to that extent, I would recommend that you maybe set your settings onto the low end and set your DLSS to performance when the game first releases, as it's probably still going to have performance issues when the game comes out. Which is not really surprising, but you know, that is something that, of course, that Fat Shark is working on. But this is just more of a like, take notice that when you play, you're gonna have performance you are going to have performance issues. So and hopefully less crashes this time as well, as there was plenty of that. So that is something I would say is the key takeaway between the alpha and the beta. The alpha had a lot of bad optimization going on. The beta, the optimization is much better. It's much smoother. It still needs work. It still needs progress on that. But overall, I think it's getting there.
Well, is that about it, boys? I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, I don't really have any much more to add either. I think Darktide is going to be a really fun game when it releases. It's going to provide you a lot of content, and that's something that Fat Shark planned. Vermintide had like expansions that you could play and whatnot. And then like they eventually then started out of nowhere doing more of the live service type of thing. And I think Darktide is going that route more. Let me explain this enough. When I mean live service, I do not mean Darktide is going to implement a battle pass or whatever. I mean they're going to, over time, release maps, weapons, cosmetics, all of that for free. That's what at least that's what I think Fat Shark has said beforehand, is that they want to gradually release stuff over time. As you know, they've learned a lot from Vermintide, as people play Vermintide a lot, and people wanted more content. And speaking of content like Vermintide, I really hope that like over time we get a mode like Chaos Waste but for Darktide, having a game mode where you're going on an expedition where it's going to be like different every time and different objectives every time and high risk, high reward gameplay, I'm all for it. I think it would be really great for this game. And I also think Darktide can probably implement a second faction into this game. You know, like wink wink, nudge nudge, add gene stealers into the game. I mean, because Vermintide went from the Skaven to Beastmen. If we can do that in Vermintide, then I can see a very good possibility that we could get gene stealers someday. I'm not saying that we will. I'm hoping that we get another faction to fight, and it's in the form of gene stealers, because they have soldiers that you can fight that shoot back. They have those pure strain gene stealer buggers that you could shoot at that can climb around and whatnot. They have all those freaky bug-like strange mutant humanoid creatures. So I think adding gene stealers to Darktide would be a plus in the future, like an expansion of sorts. I think that would be really cool. Overall, great game. We're gonna have tons of fun, and us here at the 15th Dead Men are dedicated to bring you guys more Darktide content when the game releases. And we'll see you guys at a later date. So, see you guys around and have fun.